Hello everyone and a very happy holidays. I am Salwyn and today in the spirit of Christmas or Hanukkah or those other things that you celebrate during this time of year, we are going to do something quite opposite what we normally do on this channel. Normally it is all about taking life. Today we're going to give someone the greatest gift of all. And that is, of course, the gift of life. I mean, kind of build up to that. So, if you were unaware, this is the... What the F is this? Oh, that is a... Oh, interesting. What was I saying? I got really thrown off by this really awkward... whatchamacall those? Orbit. Right. Orbit. Yeah, I really know what I'm doing. We're going to give someone the gift of life. If you weren't aware, this is Kerbal Space Program, a game that I have been playing quite a lot recently. And up here, right outside the moon, M-U-N, not the M-O-O-N. This is Kerbin, not Earth. I mean, it is pretty much Earth, but whatever. We have Kimline. And you know what, everyone? Kimline is stuck in orbit around the moon. And he can't get home. It is up to us, you and me, to build a magnificent rocket and fly it to the moon and rescue Kimline, who I dare not say if Kimline is a man or a woman. So we are going to refer to Kimline as Kimline, not he or she. Until we meet Kimline, at that point, we can call Kimline the proper pronoun. I don't know if it's a pronoun, he or she. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Oh well. Let us build ourselves a rocket. Now, the first thing that we need is a command pod. This is where Kimline is going to sit comfortably while we fly Kimline home. It's really awkward when you say the name rather than the thing that we think might be called the pronoun. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Now, we are going to need... Oh, not an extra large. We're going to need a parachute. Oh yes. This thing, the Probodobodyne Octo, is a flight computer of sorts. That means that we can... Oh, you know what? You know what I think has happened? As soon as we're about to start a mission, we have one very excited pilot who always just sneaks right on in. Now you can see we don't really have a rocket yet. We basically just have a computer, a parachute, and a little command pod. But I bet inside that command pod, Jebediah is hiding. Let's have a look. Oh, Jebediah. No! You cannot come on this ride. This ride is to save Kimline. Now we're gonna call the rocket our rocket. Yours and mine. Actually, it's gonna be our Christmas rocket. Hopefully I spelled Christmas right. Yes, very confident in my spelling there. And of course, if you're watching this video and it is no longer Christmas, that's gonna be awkward, but you'll get over it. We'll be fine. We are going to need... let's see. We will need a few items. Now, some of the items that we're going to bring up, we're not going to bring back down again. But the more expensive ones, we're going to want to bring back down. Now, we're going to put... That is a very large battery. Holy heck. We're going to put... You know what? We're going to grab 2 small batteries. Gonna put one on either side right below the Probodobodyne. That way we're gonna have 260 charge worth of electricity, and we can then keep that charged with some solar panels. We will put them on later because first we need a thingamabobber. That is not in there, that is in here. We're going to need a reaction wheel. We're going to grab a big one because it fits. This will help our rocket turn a reaction wheel works. A lot of things fly around inside, and you can then make stuff turn on its axis. Or something, I don't know. I truly do not know. I am guesstimating. Maybe I'm right. Alright, let us go through these really quickly. We have a reaction wheel. What else would we need? We need a mechjep. This is our flight computer. This allows us to send the info. This is not actually a computer. This just allows us to send commands for that to accept. This is an automated flight computer that is going to allow us to tell the thing to do something on its own without us telling it exactly what it is. Now we will also need a stack decoupler because first we're gonna have a heat shield. So right now this is what we're bringing back home. We're then going to put a stack decoupler because now we want to add what we're not bringing back home, which is going to be a humongous fuel tank because we're going to the moon, so we do need a lot of fuel. We're going to get a Terrier engine, and this engine does not have any lift. Basically, it has a thrust to weight ratio of 0.9, which means that it cannot lift its own weight. However, when we are in space, it is a fantastically efficient little rocket and carries in space the same amount of thrust as you would need to get into orbit around Earth if it could do that on Earth. Now, this is going to be our final stage, so we are going to need something to keep power up for our flight computers. We're going to grab 2 of these, 2 photovoltaic panels. They work like this. You extend them, they get nice and pretty, you retract them, and you cannot do that in space because these don't have that capability. We could bring some that have, but we're not going to bring these back home, so we're going to take the cheap ones who only cost 380 space bucks. Now we're going to build our the rocket that hopefully will take us into orbit. So we're going to need a structural thing. We're going to have a stack decoupler again because now we want to build the stage before the one we were on. We're going to need an adapter because we're going to put on a big engine. I couldn't find a good adjective, so I just called it an engine. That's how we roll. Now, hopefully, we're going to get around 4,000 delta V to take off. Right now, with this setup and the weight that we have above this bad boy, we only have 2,700. So effectively we're going to fly up and then come back down again. So we need some more power. That means we're going to bring some structural things. We're going to get radial decouplers. Now what these do is allow us to mount extra fuel and rockets on our thing. Now we're going to bring the big boys first. We're just gonna see. Maybe we won't need the big boys, maybe we will. Now we will see if we will. We're going to grab 2 swivel engines. No, we're gonna grab 2 Reliant engines because they're cheaper. And now we're getting up there. We're actually about 4,000, which is what I said we wanted. So I think we're actually gonna be happy with this setup. Now it seems crazy. Oh, what happened? I done did it wrong, methinks. We want to bring... Yeah, sly dog you. There we go. We want to bring fuel from these cans, or these fuel tanks, into our main fuel tank, because that way we can decouple these, essentially dumping them in orbit, in the atmosphere. Atmosphere? I have no clue. Before we reach space, and only use this engine and have it still full after having burned for a while, which will be really nice. Now let us see, we have 25 components, so we're going to grab 2 nose cones. Wait, could you? Hello? Hey, there we go. Boom. Nose cones. And let us see, what else do we need? We're going to have a quick look through. Nothing here that we really need. We're gonna look in this one. We have batteries. We don't need a thingamabobber. A ladder, effectively. We don't need... Oh, yes! What we do need are some winglets. Because if we don't have winglets, we're gonna crash and burn, because this rocket isn't very pretty. I mean, it looks okay, but it's very long, so it's going to topple over when we encounter drag in the atmosphere. That does mean that we have slightly lower delta V. But as you can see, when we get into the atmosphere, we're going to have 6,500 from our effective little engine up in the top here. So we're going to be really happy about that. Alright, we're going to slap 2 parachutes on our side things here. Now I do think that because we're running the 800 tanks, fuel tanks, I don't think that we're going to be able to dump these early enough for the parachutes to actually bring them back down to Earth, but we're going to put them on there just in case we might be able to save these, because it'll save us some money, and we do like money. I mean, that is evident from the 663,000 space bucks that we have accumulated. Sadly, we need to spend some soon, but until then, we're going to be really happy and feel really rich. Now, I think we're about there, everyone. So, we're going to save, because likely I have forgotten something. I tend to do that. We're going to check if Jebediah jumped back in. Oh, he didn't. Good guy, Jebediah. And now we're going to make sure that our staging is correct. So the first stage is going to be the 3 bottom rockets. It's not going to be the parachutes. That would be slightly inefficient rather. It would be plenty effective, just not very efficient. So we're going to dump these. I want to have these 2 above them. There we go. So we're going to fire all 3 rockets. When these tanks are empty, we're going to decouple them and deploy the parachutes. When this tank is then empty, hopefully we'll be in orbit by then, or at least in space. We'll dump this part and only have the top snazzy part left. We'll then fire this engine, fly all the way to the moon, pick up Kim line, hopefully it'll go very smooth and nice. We will then fly back home again, click, and dump this part of the rocket and come back down with this bit. This is all that's going to be left, but we're going to have made a new friend, picked up Kim line, who might be a woman, very beautiful woman, or a very handsome man. We'll find out. Anyway, let us do a hop and a skip out to the launch pad where we're going to bring this bad boy into space. We're going to kill rotation, set our thrust limiter down here to about there. I think that'll be okay. We'll find out when we fire the rocket. We're gonna once again make sure all these are fine. Looks good. Now all that is left to do is to hit spacebar, which is what starts the staging, and fly. Oh, what a lovely, lovely sound. The sound of, well, I mean controlled explosions, really, in the morning. Or the afternoon, depending on where the sun is. Oh, actually it's noon right now. Alright, so it looks like we might be able to dump our engine. We're going to bring down our thrust a little bit, just to make sure that we don't get too quick before we dump the engines. Maybe we won't be able to recover them. We'll see. No, this chutes did not make it when we decoupled. So we're gonna pick up the pace a little bit again. Not too much, we don't want to get too much Mach effects while we're inside the lower atmospheres. Oh, we're pulling a bit south here. That's kind of weird. We would like to get over towards the 90-degree angle here. Hopefully it won't topple us. It might. It has happened before with my rockets. I'm not gonna lie. Alright. It feels okay. We're not gonna go towards any very sudden 45-degree angles. We don't need to. It feels okay. We're gonna move slightly. This is what is called a gravity turn. It means we're turning with the Earth's rotation and thereby getting helped by the gravity in our forward momentum. You can see this is where we are moving forward to. This is our prograde. Right now where our apoapsis is 53 kilometers. We want it to be above 70, which is outside the atmosphere. As soon as we hit about 85, I'm going to kill our speed. We're going to keep turning now towards the horizon. Now we're at 75. We're going to keep climbing for a while. Let's see. There we go. Coming up on 80. Now we're going a bit fast. We might encounter some heat effects soon. But we also are getting quite close to that 85 point where we're going to cut the engine. And now we're going to coast. We're going to have a look in space. This is our current trajectory. Now it's nice and flat. That means that when we get around here, we're going to burn and try to circularize our orbit. We would like to burn before we reach our apoapsis, which is our highest point of orbit. Because if we burn after our apoapsis, we're going to raise it, and we'd like a nice circular orbit and just raise our periapsis, our lowest point of orbit, which is right now in the very center of the planet Kerbal. So we don't really want to hit it right now, but we want to raise it up above 70, right here, raise it up to about 85 like the other one. Would be preferred. We're now in space. We can see the moon rising over the horizon. Where do we have the sun? Is straight above us. Alright, that's very nice. Now we're coming up on 80 here. We're going to turn prograde with our little flight computer here. Just turn prograde. And we're going to burn a little bit. Now we're going to be raising our apoapsis a little bit because we're burning a little bit early. That is okay. We want to get this up so that when we circularize, we can see we're almost out of gas on this one, but it brought us into space where our little Terrier engine, the little Terrier that could, is going to be more than sufficient. But that does mean that we want to have a good amount of time to burn because it's not going to be very strong. Alright, we're out of gas. We're going to decouple. Float away. We're not going to fire right now. If we fired right now, this would all blow up under the heat. So we're just going to slide away nice and easy. We're going to wait for this to get quite a lot lower. We still have 3,200 delta V in this stage. Alright, we're about 25 seconds. We're going to try to burn. Alright, so right now it's not going up all that much. Our time to apoapsis is still dropping, which means we're not raising it by that much. It's going to start to slow down, most likely. I could be wrong because it doesn't look like it, but it might slow down. No, at this point we're getting so close that it's not going to really. Oh, just as I said that, it slows down and stops, and now it's going to start climbing again. But that is not an issue because our periapsis is coming up to a positive number now. We want to get it to around the same as our apo. We're going to kill the thrust, wait to get closer to our apoapsis again before we round off the orbit. As you can see, we still have tons and tons of delta V left. The moon off in the distance is where we're going to be going on our next orbit around. But right now, we just want to circularize our orbit so we have plenty of time to plan our maneuver. Now we're going to slow down. And there we go. It's going to be a really, really gorgeous orbit. As you can see, it's almost perfectly circular. Here we have a satellite that I put up earlier, which is perfectly circular. Its apoapsis and periapsis is within very short distances. Here's another satellite that we put up earlier, and once again another satellite in different orbits. You get contracts in this game. This one is mine. I used it to generate a map of Kerbin. We can put that up here while we're just hanging in space. We have a nice steady orbit. We're gonna keep that orbit forever. Let's have a look at Kerbin and the biome map. Now, the satellite that I put in space has produced this. It is in a polar orbit, so it scans streaks and streaks of the Earth, and after a long time it's come up with this complete picture that shows us down here which biomes it is. This is the water. Here we have some highlands, some grasslands and shores, a desert, and all that kind of good stuff. We have one of these. I put one of these satellites in orbit around the moon as well, because I like to see where I'm going to land when I'm going to land on the moon in the future. Now let's warp around to there, because we want to when you want to reach the moon, what you do is you wait until you see it just at the horizon, then you burn prograde, which is again with your orbit or in the direction that you're already going, and then you're going to extend your current orbit, which is around Kerbin, out until you hit the gravitational forces of the moon, or the sphere of influence, so to speak. And at that point, you're going to then pick up a lunar orbit, or a lunar orbit. Now let us see. We're going to be around here when we start our maneuver, and we're going to have the moon as our target. Now grab this maneuver. Can I hit it? There we go. And we're gonna just pull it up. Now this represents burning or firing the rocket in prograde. And over here you can see how much we're going to be firing, and down here you can see that as well. So it's going to be quite a lot. It's going to be quite a burn in order to get to the moon. We're going to slow down here. Alright, we're now in the sphere of influence of the moon, so we can focus up here. Now the guy we want to help, Kimline, or the girl, that's right, I forgot, we haven't decided yet, is in this orbit. So we want to hit around 400 kilometers. Now we can push this in like so. Effectively we're pulling the thing just by clicking here instead. Now we're at 700. And this is our periapsis, the lowest point of orbit. So, oh, we're getting close. I think we're going to have to go to smaller steps now. Now, depending on whether we're coming in behind him, behind Kimline or ahead of Kimline, we want to be in a higher or lower orbit in order to synchronize and thereby meet. But so far, this is looking like a really good place to start. Now, we are not on the same incline. I think, yeah, inclination, not incline, inclination. But that is fine. We can fix that once we get there. For now, let us point our vessel towards the node. Go back here, have a look. Oh, well, we're a little bit past our node, but it's fine. We're gonna fire for full effect. Now we should see the moon rising pretty soon. But yeah, there it is. There we have the moon rising over the horizon. Now we're burning a little early, but this is fine. This is completely fine. We have plenty delta V. We got plenty of fuel and propulsion to correct any mistakes that we're making. Right now we just want to extend our orbit. We're looking at the wrong thing. Now sadly I cannot like change my focus back to my craft because I don't have the keybind, because I'm on a Danish keyboard and I haven't actually like just taken the time to fix it. But right now we just want to raise this up, and as I said, we have a slow engine, so it's going to take a little while to raise it up. But once we start to get closer, we're going to start seeing it over here. As soon as we hit the sphere of influence on our actual orbit, we will have a blue line over here that will represent our actual orbit, and then we can just adjust it, get it in close enough so that when we get over here, we are going to be able to make the last adjustments needed to fix everything. So we're slowing down. We're getting ready to kill the engine. Here we are. This is us. So I called it a blue. Turns out it's yellow. Now we want to match it up with our predetermined. So we're just burning very slowly. And stop. Now it wants us to burn for another 6 delta V, but because we burned at a different time than what we set the node to, that of course changed, so our timing changed, so we do not want to do that. Now we're going to warp to the sphere of influence when we get picked up by the moon. Now if we click again, now that we're outside of the close proximity of Kerbal, it's going to speed up real fast. And that way we don't have to sit here and wait for a full 2 hours while we fly through space doing nothing. Now it's going to look very weird for a short second once we hit the sphere of influence change. Oh, not this time. This time we just saw the actual thing, which is fantastic. We're now going to set this as our target. And by doing that, we should get this, our descending node, or yes, his or our descending node, or Kimline's or our descending node. But we're not going to worry about that just yet. Do we have the maneuver node editor? We do. So we're going to add a maneuver here, bring up the maneuver node editor, which is the same as precise node. We're going to then snap the node to our parry, just because that is now is very accurate. And we're then going to burn retrograde against our trajectory to get into orbit around the moon. Now let's see, we are slightly, his parry is 355, so we kind of want to bring this down, which is now our apo, the highest point. We're going to bring it down until it turns into the parry. See, it's changed to the parry now. Now we want to bring it to around 355. So right now it's 400. Now it is 380 and 366. Now this one is higher. Our apoapsis is higher than Kimline's apoapsis, so we don't want this to be higher than his parry. We want this to actually be pretty much in line, especially since he is behind us. He is going to have to catch up to us. Now this we might change, but right now that is how we want it to be. So right now it's almost perfectly even. Time to our node is 1 hour and 47 minutes, which is quite a while, but we'll be okay. We're going to turn to the node on the computer here. Oh, did we? We ran out of juice. This is what I feared. Dang nabbit. Now, you see, the thing is, when you forget to click this button here and extend it, you run out of juice. Maybe we can burn? No. We cannot tell our engine to burn and generate power. We simply goofed and ran out of power. That is what happens sometimes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to when we first launched. I'm going to fly back to this point. It's only going to take me a few seconds. Then I'm gonna pick you back up and we're gonna get in orbit around the moon. So hang tight. Alright, I am back, and this time I remembered to extend our solar panels. It's very nice. This is very nice indeed. Anyway, we're going to get back to planning this node. Now, let us set the target to Kimline's thingamabobber. Now, his apoapsis is going to be here where our periapsis is. It's very good. I mean, I tried to get it as close to being the same as last time as possible, and I feel like I did a pretty good job. I think we have roughly the same delta V. We're going to add a maneuver here, burn retrograde, as we did last time. Now, if this is going to be our apo, then we need this one to be 355 again. Just like last time, we're going to, whoop, there we go. The apo and peri switched, and we're going to try to match it up. 372, 362, 360, 58, 57, 53. Alright, we're going to do it over here instead. So 1 is that, so we will do this. 55. Alright, within 300 meters. Now, I do realize that our orbits are not in line, but we will fix that once we get to this one. Now, we will turn to face the node. This is what caused us to lose our battery last time. But this time, we're gonna get plenty of power whenever we look at the sun. And the sun is right there. We are going to get eclipsed at some point, but hopefully we'll be okay. We should be okay at any rate. Let's see, we're going to warp to our maneuver. We're going to F5, then switch view. Now it should slow us down even more. There we go. We're going to quick save. Switch view to our ship, because it's pretty. I'm going to delete the alarm. We're going to face the node. We're already doing that. We get a burn in 3 minutes. We're going to speed up a little bit. We're going to burn at around 15 seconds. No, we're not, turns out. We're going to watch our apoapsis. Alright, so we want it to be that at 355. So let's have a look. We're going to slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, and kill it. So it's periapsis. Oh yes, we wanted that to be at 355. Or 57? Nope, 55 is right. There we go, on the money. Now we're just gonna turn this off. It doesn't matter if we're rotating while we're out here. Let's see if our peri lined up. 355, 5, 355, 7. That is pretty good. I mean, I'm satisfied anyway. So we're going to move to the descending node here. Add a maneuver. We're going to use the maneuver node editor to see descending node snap 2, just so that we get it right on the money down there. Close that again. And we're then going to burn. We gotta raise our orbit, so I think we gotta burn maybe anti-normal, but let's try normal first. We gotta burn normal. Alright. So we're gonna match it up real nice. Looks really good here. Let's have a look at the node. 0 degrees off. That is really hard to do, and we just did it. We're that good. You and me together, we're amazing. I love it. I love it. Now let us confirm this. Boom. There we go. Warp to this maneuver. Warp to this maneuver. Sounds like my nose is stuffed for a second there. Alright, we're going to turn to the node. We still have plenty of power. We're so happy about it. We still have plenty of delta V. We're really happy about that. We just gotta pick up Kimline in space around a satellite. Yeah. Sounds real easy until you gotta do a spacewalk. And things get kinda tricky. I mean, as soon as you do one spacewalk, you've done them all, you know. So, I mean, it's no feat for me. Alright, we're going to do this. We're going to slowly slow down, slow down, slow down. Until we get really close. There we go, and kill it. And now we're going to tap it to 0. Perfect. Alright, now what we're going to do before we start making more changes is we're going to change to derate our engine so that we don't fire very hard. Whenever we fire full, we fire at 8%. Whenever we give it a little tiny tap, we fire at 0.2%, for example. This is much nicer. It gives us a much more accurate control. When we have to do this, we actually have to match our orbit and meet Kimline in space. And if we have a look here, space is pretty big. Space is pretty big, so it's going to be pretty hard. Now let's see, we're going to check right now. We shouldn't have a good meeting, but we're going to check our closest intersection with our target is at 45 kilometers between us, and that is on orbit 8. Now we of course want to change this. So our periapsis is what... Oh, did this change? This probably changed. Yes, our periapsis changed because we did the normal burn, which is fine. We're going to warp to the apo. Just do a quick circle around the moon. Now, I mean, right now we're pretty much opposite, so if we catch up to Kimline, or if Kimline catches up to us, doesn't really matter. We're going to burn retrograde here and drop our peri. So we want our peri to be below 355, or at 355 rather. That was pretty accurate right there. I feel like that was pretty accurate. That is within 100 meters. That is actually like 40 meters apart. It's pretty good. Now we're going to warp to the apo. We're going to the peri. We're going to raise our apo. That way, seeing if we can't get a quicker encounter. We're going to slow down preemptively so we can do our turn. We're going to go to the other view. Now we're going to keep an eye on this number. As soon as we get to within 10 seconds of our peri, we're going to start burning prograde. Now we want to see the number up here, the distance at the closest point between us. We want to see that number drop, and we want to see it drop a lot. We want to get within a kilometer, 2 kilometers. I'll be pretty happy with that. We're going to delete these alarms because they're no longer necessary. So let us see if this goes down if we burn. It does. We are very happy. And oh wow, have we not derated the engine? That's such a big change with such a little thrust. Alright, we're going to bring it all the way down here. Now let's see if we can get it to where we want it. It's dropping. We're really happy with this. Oh yes, we're doing good. We're doing good. Now we're going to start tapping it. We're within 20 kilometers. 10 kilometers. Here we go. Can we get down to 1? It's kind of jiggling a bit. It's throwing me off a little bit. I think this is it. It bounces, but I think we're going to be really happy. That is on orbit 14 though. But luckily we're in a pretty high orbit, so we can fast forward really fast. If we were in a really low orbit, we could only go 50 times. But since we're up here, we can say I want to be notified 10 minutes before this happens. And then we can just say, can we go? No, we can't go that. Alright. Close alarm details, and it's going to take 7 days. 7 days. But since we have the magics of fast forwarding, we're gonna zoom, 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 zoom. Rotate around. Our Christmas rocket. Look at the name of this beautiful thing. 2 days left, 1 day left, 6 hours. I'm going to slow it down a little bit here. Now let's see if the game will slow it down or if the alarm clock will slow it down. I'm not going to count on it. I'm going to do it myself. Oh yes, this is going to be 10 minutes before our closest encounter. And now the game is starting to slow it down. Now I did say to the thing that we wanted a good window. Alright, so we're only going to be 4.3. Now I said below 2. But I think we're going to be okay with this. We're going to work with it anyway. I think I can work some magic. I think we can make it happen. Now let us go into first person mode. Our oxidizer has apparently come up. Alright, it's very good, oxidizer. We're going to close you again. Whereas our target's coming over there. Now let's check again. 4.3. So when this says 4.3, we're going to start making adjustments. Until then, oh, we want to do this adjustment though first. We're going to kill our not our relative velocity to the target, so that we are even in our orbits. That way it's going to be easier to maneuver toward our target, and then we will talk about how we do that once we get closer. So 4.3 is what we're aiming for. We're going to go to here. Now we're going to have it. Alright, so we are going to burn retrograde, effectively slowing down our relative velocity. The way you do this is you burn retrograde. But the thing is, our target retrograde is here. Now we want to get our retrograde in orbit, our orbital retrograde, to match with our target retrograde, and we do that by pushing it. So we're going to go push. That's very slow because we derated our engine a lot. As you can see, the target, our velocity in relations to our target is dropping. And you can see this is getting closer. Now it's going to be easier to see once we get a little closer. We're going to fire here. Stop, so we can follow it. Whoops. There we go. I'm going to put it right on the money. Going to keep firing until this is right on the money. Alright, so now it is right on the money. We're going to then burn here and then here. Now effectively we've changed our orbit to match, at least for a while. Now what we want to do is turn towards our target. Now our prograde, why can't I see my thing? Where's my... Yeah, where's my prograde? Oh, that's weird. Anyway. Somehow we lost our orbital prograde. Maybe we lost orbit? No, we're still in orbit. I don't get it. Anyway, we're going to fire towards our target now. There is our orbital prograde. So what you do with the orbital prograde is you pull it. So we're going to stay over here. As you can see, we're going to pull it right in on the money. And that means that we can now fire here. Now we're going to build up some good speed because we have quite a ways to cover here. So we're just going to keep firing. You can see our periapsis is dropping. That means that if we don't make this encounter, if we don't actually meet up and pick up Kim Line now, our orbits are going to be so out of whack, it's going to be very, very hard to fix them up again so that we have another chance in the future. So this is crunch time, ladies and gentlemen. Let us get Kim Line back to Kerbin. I think we can do it. I believe in us. I believe in a Christmas miracle. Now, I think we're going to give ourselves a little bit more boost. Because wow, was that ever going slowly. I mean, I'm all about building excitement and all, building tension. But, I mean, when that number changes like once a second is okay. Once every 5 seconds, maybe not. Alright, so we're now going to turn... It's funny. Whenever I see this, I want to say relevant velocity, but it is relative velocity. I want to go relative velocity now, because I want to get ready to brake. And I want to start now, in fact. Because we're getting really close. Now we just want to be braking. Oh, we want to be braking faster than this. We're going to turn up our engine a little bit. Oh, that was a move on the fly there. Changing the rating of the engine. Alright. We can now start to take it a little bit more easy again. We're going to derate the engine again. Back down to 7. Because now we're only moving at 20. Now we're within 400 meters of the target. We still cannot see the capsule. Actually, we're starting to be able to see it there. Now hopefully we can bring ourselves to a halt. 10 meters per second. We're within 160 meters now. 6 meters, 130. Oh yes, it looks like... Oh, it's a space plane cockpit. Now, I tend to like to get around 30 meters. 30 meters I can quite easily cover on RCS or on a jetpack thruster, which is what you have in space. Now we want to slowly approach here and then come to a halt. And now, you gotta keep in mind here, we're not standing still in space next to our target. We are orbiting around the moon at 332 meters per second next to our target. That is the feat we're accomplishing right now. Now, right now, we're completely still. Almost completely still next to our target. Now we're going to turn so that our crew hatch is facing upwards. We're then going to quick save. Jump back to the space center. You know, we could do this by going to the map, but it's kind of wonky sometimes. And I mean, birds chirping. Who doesn't want to hear birds chirping? I do, for one. Want to hear it. Now we're going to go to Kimline's capsule. And now, because we're so close to Kimline's capsule, you can see our Christmas rocket right there. We can actually go and see what Kimline is up to. And if Kimline is a man or a woman. Very exciting. Well, I thought we could. I think that's a woman. If we get some chatter, we'll know. Now we can see our rocket here. We're going to set it as the target, so that we can see how far away are we. 28 meters. And I said within 30. I think we're doing a splendid job here today, gentlemen and ladies. Now we're going to EVA and let go. We're officially in space. We can push this one. We can push away the Kimline's old rocket. It's like nudge. But we're going to be going away from our actual rocket, so we don't want to play around with that too much. Where's my chatter? There's no chatter? I'm sad. Normally I should be getting chatter. Now we've picked up Kimline. Kimline Kerman. Kimline Kerman, who's very, very excited to be in space. Or at least outside her her prison. Now we want to brake. Turn. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, brake. There we go. And grab. Ladies and gentlemen. Still very, very excited, Kim. I did sound like a man. Nope. So Nerby. Kimline's a woman. Turns out, Kimline Kimlan's now waving goodbye to her old home, which was her home for like at least a month. Well, I mean, at least a week. Let's say at least a week. A month is probably a little bit over exaggerated. Now, when we want to return to Kerbal, we can do something really, really easy. If we fire, once we're here, we fire prograde, it's gonna make us leave orbit of the moon, and at the same time we're going to enter orbit of Kerbal. And if we adjust it a little bit, we can bring our periapsis, our lowest point of orbit, down to 30 kilometers or 30,000 meters. I think we're actually going to change focus to over here because it's easier. So we want this to go down to 30, because if it's at 30, that means that we will be in the atmosphere. Oh, that's a bit too low. That will mean we will be in the atmosphere and low enough for the air to break us, but not so low that we're going to burn up in the atmosphere. Now we're going to do micro adjustments here. 34, 33, 32, 31, 30.2 kilometers. I am really happy with that. When is our node? In 2 hours. I love that mod, that chatter mod. It is so... Oh, it just makes you feel good. Alright, we're going to warp to our node. Wow, that was really, really fast. So, oh yeah, before we do anything, we're going to slow down. Before we do anything, we're going to put our engines rating back to full so that we don't have to burn for an hour. We're just going to burn for about a minute. At least we're going to start out aiming for about a minute's burn. Maybe we have to do less. Maybe we have to do more. The alarm's going to pop up now. Or so I thought. Well, screw you, alarm. I don't need you anyway. So, when there's 30 seconds left, we're going to start our burn. We're not actually turned towards the node, but there we go. Now we're turned towards the node. Our time to node is 40 seconds. 39, 38. Now, as soon as we fire, we'll see how long we'll need to fire. Maybe we're firing too early. We could be. We definitely are. So we will wait a little bit. Alright, so we're going to speed it up. Just a scooch. And fire at 6 seconds. Alright, so our actual orbit is now coming down. We're gonna slow down. Make sure we don't overshoot, get into a suicide burn. A suicide burn is a braking maneuver, not an entry maneuver, but we're gonna call it that just because that's what we went with in the moment. So we're just gonna stick to it. We're gonna play it off, not let people see our mistake. Alright, we're going to cut it, and then we're going to see what is our periapsis. That makes no sense. Is that our orbit over the wrong thing? Because this one is 36, so that is probably our orbit over the moon. So we're going to drop this to 31. I'm pretty happy with 31. I'm going to accept this. We're now going to warp to the sphere of influence so that we leave the gravitational orbit of the moon at a nice leisurely rate of 1,000 times actual time. And here we go, we're going to hit Kerbal orbit. So this should change now to 31.346. Actually, it might look really weird first, but after that it should change. Can I set this as our thing? No, I cannot. Come on, sphere of influence. How far away are we? This is really hard. Alright, we're actually kind of far away. Why did you stop us so soon? You've awakened me too soon, Executus. Alright. I'm going to let it do its thing now. Wow, our orbit looks really different from from this thing, huh? We're all the way up here. It's gonna put us right down here. This should be interesting. I wonder what's going to happen when we hit the sphere of influence. Going to speed it up a little bit because there we go. Pop, our orbit pops back into place. Our periapsis is at 31.2. Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. Now our orbital velocity is really nice and slow, but our surface velocity is 3,000 meters per second. It's kind of fast. It's kind of fast. Let's orb to over here. Actually, let's orb to here. At 1,000 times speed. It's very nice. Where are we at? We're coming out here. We're coming really slow. We're gonna speed it up. There we go. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, we have almost brought Kimline home. And our orbital velocity is really, really high. We're scared. Kimline is happy, which I guess should be comforting. Alright, we're going to turn orbital retrograde. Holy shit, no we're not. Prograde. Going to fire that off. And then we're going to turn retrograde. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus! We came in a lot sooner than I thought we would. We damn near burned Kimline in the atmosphere. Oh boy. Oh boy, was that ever exciting for a moment there. Oh, I do like the fact that I was able to react to what I saw quick enough to save our bacon. Because goddamn, we dropped our rocket the other way, then turned our back end towards this, and then it blew up right here. Woohoo, that was close. Now our orbital, it's still blowing up out here. It's gonna blow up a little bit more. Our orbital velocity is still 3,100. I'm really happy I set my periapsis that low, because otherwise I think we would have just skimmed the atmosphere and flown back into space. This might still happen, but I feel pretty confident. Actually, that's probably gonna happen. This needs to drop below 70k, and we're already down to 30. It's just gonna be really close. We might actually just skim the atmosphere and go back for another round. Oh, no, it looks like we're okay. Maybe? Yeah, it looks like we're okay. At worst, we're going to gain a little bit of altitude again, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're actually going to be right on the tip of the spear here. Right on the knife's edge. Whew, that was one hell of a re-entry. I don't think I've had one come that close before without actually going wrong. Now we are very slowly dropping. Our orbital velocity is nice and low. Let us have a look. Oh, we're no longer in orbit. That is what that camera change meant. Oh, our ablator. This is our heat shield. We have burned off 40 points. Now, the way the heat shield works is as soon as the material gets too hot, it can handle like 2400 degrees or something, I don't remember. But as soon as the material gets too hot, it burns off. And quite a lot has burned off. Normally, when you enter from a normal orbit around Kerbal, you don't see much more than like 2-3 points of burn on the ablator. We have almost 50. We're still flying at 2,000 meters per second. And look, we've been at 28 kilometers for so long. We have basically, I think we came in around here. We've covered this entire distance inside the atmosphere. Boy, oh boy, Kimline got quite a treat today. Let's see if she's enjoying it. Well, she looks a bit nervous, actually. She looks like she's a bit nervous. she's probably thinking to herself, wow, I sure hope them mission control boys know what they're doing, 'cause this sure looks a bit risky. Alright, our highest point of orbit is still above our current, so it's still got high hopes for us, but we are going to bleed off enough speed. Hopefully our blader will hold. Yeah, we're now slowed down enough that it is no longer dropping, and as I say that it drops, isn't that just typical? Isn't that just typical? Now hopefully we're going to reach a low enough speed so that when we hit our parachute it won't just rip right off, but I feel confident. I'm not even gonna cross my fingers and hope. I'm just gonna be confident in that I got that part right. Now we are above some land, but as we can see here, above sea level, it's only 300 meters high, this land, so it's kind of low. Giggity. So I think we'll be okay. We're now at 700 meters per second. Still 10 kilometers up. Yeah, Kimline's starting to sound relaxed in her chatter. And that was us saying, we got you, girl, we got you. We'll bring you home. Just put you to bed. Not in a funky way, just tuck her in, because she's got to be tired after spending like a week in orbit around the moon, not knowing if she's going to get home safe, and then almost burning up in the atmosphere of Kerbal. Alright, let us change to surface up. We're still coming in at slightly too high speed here. I'm really hoping this'll drop, because it's actually safe to deploy. Oh, this wasn't our surface speed. We're fine right now. Alright, we're gonna deploy our chute. It's not gonna fall out until 1,000 meters. Now it's deploying. Our surface speed is still 150. Oh, 300 meters above the Earth we come to a safe velocity. Now this one is crash tested at, I think it's 7 meters per second, and we're now below. Whew. Oh, that was exciting. I would like to thank you all for coming with me and Kimline on this fantastic journey to the moon and back twice. Because I kind of forgot to deploy our solar panels the first time. Actually, Kim, please stand up, Kim. Thank you. Oh, that's because we're trying. Whoops. Oh, you better move, Kim. Alright, let's take a surface sample. Yep, looks like dirt. You know what, Kim? I think you should plant a flag. We're gonna turn to face you. Oh, struct company. Now, Kim's return spot. Oh, and then we're gonna go home at last. Alright, Kim. You get back in the capsule and we'll have the boys pick you up. Climb it, Kim. Climb it. Oh wait, you don't gotta. Kim. Now it's not the time to be silly. Now it's the time to get home. Jump, grab, and board. We're gonna recover Kimline. Kimline is now safely at home at Kerbal Space Center. I'd like to thank you all for joining me on this magic journey. I think we saved Christmas this year. Hopefully we can do the same next year. If not, well, I mean, we got one or two, you know. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, and or a comment, and or both. I do realize that and or means both, but you get where I'm coming from. Happy holidays. I hope you have a great Christmas with lots of family and friends. And until next time, have a great day.